Glad you're along tonight. Hope you enjoyed the first hour. We're going to do another one right now. This will be in the archives for you. It's an extraordinary story. Our guests are Harry Cooper, who is on with us once a month for 2 hours, and we look at World War II history as it really was, and the great Clark McClelland, truly an heroic man here in utter grief, trying to do his best, physical grief. And certainly he's paid the price emotionally for being honest. He served this country for decades with the space program, and we have heard a lot. All right, now, what I'd like you to do is look to the left on my homepage under guests for Kecksburg. All right? It's right below De Glocke. Kecksburg. Bring those pictures up. Now, Kecksburg is a very famous UFO event in American history. Happened in Pennsylvania, and it happened, whatever it was. It's not a joke. It's not a light in the sky. It came down. It left a furrow. It knocked over small trees and came to a halt. Now, we're going to stop right there and remind you, for those of you who don't know, this object was tracked by American military radar from Canada across the border, and it meandered its way down to Pennsylvania, where it either crashed or came in for a semi-controlled landing. No one knows for sure. There's a picture at the top of the page that is absolutely stunning. The years of the trucks, there are 2 trucks. There's appears to be either a platform or a lowboy, I'm not sure, but this round object, which looks very much like an acorn at this point, is sitting between the trucks, which appear to have pulled it out of a thicket of trees and loaded it onto this lowboy trailer, and they're going to haul it out of there. Clark has seen the picture. He says it's real. It's gold, a kind of a dark, burnished bronze gold color, and looks like an acorn bullet. All right, Clark, tell us what you were doing when you heard about this and how you were ordered to go with, and who did you go with up to Kecksburg immediately to inspect this craft? What were you doing?
I was at Kennedy Space Center, Cape Canaveral, and I was approached to follow what was happening with this being tracked over the Pacific and over Canada and up above Pennsylvania. It came down the border of Pennsylvania and Ohio. It turned east over Pittsburgh and went to Kecksburg, about 35 miles from my hometown, Pittsburgh.
These are recorded on radar, folks. They have tapes. This is not a joke. It's real. All right? So it came down. It didn't come down with a boom and break into 1,000 pieces. It skidded through a bunch of small trees and left a furrow behind it. So go ahead.
Can I explain it, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
It was a controlled landing.
Thank you.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
And it came down and it did skid in. And then when I went to see it, I flew up there with a twin-engine jet. I was up there with one of the major technical managers or directors at the Space Center. I will never disclose his name. And he and I were picked up when we landed near Kecksburg by I think an Army car of some sort, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of years ago. So it's hard for me to remember sometimes. We were taken to Kecksburg, and then there we were offloaded, and then we were taken to another area that was not far from where it came down. We didn't know that yet. So then we followed the there were armed Army people watching over all of us, including me.
Really?
So
you had a soldier with a rifle standing next to you, or near you.
That's right. And he was there, and I said, I want to look at this craft. I'm from NASA. He didn't say anything, of course. And then he said, go ahead and do that. I went over and looked at it. I estimated its height to be about 9 feet by about 12 feet long. And it had that odd-looking bulge on it that looked like an acorn. I knocked on the side of it, and he got alarmed over that. I said, I want to see if there's anybody in it. I knocked on it again. I got no response. And then I observed it for a while. Then I heard trucks coming through the brush. Those were the low boys, or whatever you want to call them. They were coming up to pick it up. And so I had to leave. And then I looked back, and I did see them getting ready to pick it up from the skid marks that it caused in the trees and the underbrush.
Was there any noise coming from it, Clark, when you walked up to it? Vibration?
No,
nothing?
No, nothing, period. It was flat dead.
Where is this item now? Where is it located?
Oh, we don't know. It's
what?
Wright-Patterson, probably. He was asking where it is, the Kecksburg item.
It's about 4 or 5 stories underground at Wright-Pat.
Oh, okay, Wright-Pat, gotcha.
And then I tried to see. I took a little knife out. I wanted to scrape a little part of the metal. And then the Army person with the gun, he took it off his shoulder and got ready to kind of point it at me. I said, wait a minute, I have to do these things for NASA. So I stepped back. I didn't scratch it. I didn't get any metal from it. And then after that, the trucks were coming in.
So you did, how many minutes did you have with it? 5? 10?
I'd say somewhere about 15 or more.
Okay.
Because I walked all around it as I could because it was buried into the ground.
How much of it? Half?
No, about a third maybe.
Was there any smell?
There was no smell at all. None whatsoever. I even went back where I thought it may have had its ignition point. Mm-hmm. And I kind of sniffed back there, but I couldn't smell anything back there either. Mm-hmm. There was some warmth to it, even though it was hours before I got up there.
Yeah.
It still felt lukewarm to me. I did touch it, of course.
Yeah, you're up there in daytime. I want to make that clear, right?
That's right. And then my partner, he was also studying it and taking down notes and recording things. And then after that, we were all pretty well asked to leave because the trucks were coming in to pick it up. Mm-hmm. So we had to leave the area, but I did see afterwards a low boy with it sitting on its deck. And that low boy...
you've seen that picture, and that was it.
That's the picture. That was it. That's exactly what it looked like.
The color was it was actually a beautiful color. I don't know what it looked like to you in the shade of the trees, but in the sunlight in that picture, it's stunning.
Well, it appeared to me to be kind of bronzish or kind of in that color area. Mm-hmm. And then it was taken off by the truck. The truck left there with a guard, of course, and it went to another base in Ohio where it stopped for a while. And then after that, it went on from there to Wright-Pat. And then it was taken underground there. And Dr. Debus, I gave him a brief description of what we did, but he relied on the other man's report.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can I talk?
Yes, go ahead.
He had a written report on it, the other man. I tried to get a copy of it, but they wouldn't allow me to have one.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Now, Hans Kammler, he was at, right, Pat, at the time.
Did you see any writing on the outside of this craft?
I saw something that looked like scribble to me. That's what I called it. But I couldn't read what it was or said. But Dr. Kamler, he and Siegfried Kennemeyer received it at Right Pat, and there they back engineered it, and actually they had back engineered the Roswell craft also, and they back engineered this craft from Kecksburg.
How did you find this out, Clark? Just scuttlebutt, or did someone brief you that they had back-engineered it over time?
I had friends all over the place, and they trusted me. And they would call me and tell me things, and then I had to be careful. And then all of a sudden, I was not careful enough, and the government caught on, and they finally fired me. After 34 years, I have no retirement. You're in one of the most, if not the most, evil government on the planet Earth here.
I think we're aware of that, my friend.
Yeah.
We just we've killed just since the so-called Iraq War. We've killed over 6 million people. We have this country, this government, land of the home, the brave, or whatever the hell it is. It doesn't matter anymore because it isn't. We've lost our values, we've lost our morals, we've lost so much.
I think you know why. You know the race that caused that.
It's a real issue for debate. It's a real sad story, and it's one of the reasons why you're suffering so much right now. They want you to. When you went up to this thing, how did it make you emotionally feel to see something so strange like this?
Well, I've been involved with UFO studies since 1947, so actually it didn't cause me any problem. None at all. Because my mind is always open to whatever I'm going to look at or investigate.
Got it.
And I didn't have any fear of what I was looking at. I was just hoping maybe if I knocked on it, I could hear maybe somebody knock back, but that didn't happen. And it was quite an object to see, I'll tell you that. They did not allow us to have cameras, and I had a little tape recorder, and when I got back to the Space Center, I put it in my locker underneath one of the launch pads, and they launched the rocket from it, and the water that they used to cool down the pad seeped into the area where my recorder was and destroyed it. My usual luck.
All right, this picture, the photograph at the top of the Kecksburg object page, on the left is an Army, it looks like a deuce and a half. It's got a white star. It's in Army drab, beige. And then the other truck on the right looks like a fire truck. There's an emergency light bar on top, above the cab, on the roof of it. It's got an extended bar with a rear view mirror you can see on the left. And then it has...
That's not the tractor? You're sure that's not the tractor that's pulling the the lowboy?
Could be. Don't know.
There were fire companies there in case there was a fire that would break out.
I had people tell me, the locals who were there, they got as close as they could, and the fire department was really first to arrive, long before the Army got there.
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer, but that's a possible guess. Yeah.
That's what they did. They're good people in Kecksburg.
Harry, do you have a question for Clark?
No, I'm just listening and learning.
All right. This thing was so unusual, and it came in under guided control. At this point in your life, what do you think? It doesn't appear to have any portholes. It was smooth. and it did have some scribbles on it, you say. Does it strike you as to have been a remotely controlled object, or do you think there may have been some controllers in it?
It was launched by Russia into the heavens orbit.
So it was their version of the Bell years after the war.
That's right. They had engineers that von Braun had that wanted to come to America, but they didn't. They said we'll go to Russia, and when they went there, they had a real good time helping the Russians develop the Glock, and they did a good job, actually.
That's interesting.
There's one of the famous scientists from Germany. I can't remember his name, but von Braun tried to get him to come to the USA.
Yeah.
He refused. He went to Russia.
I can't imagine anyone going to the Soviet Union, frankly, but...
Well, he and a lot of other German scientists and engineers did so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. So
okay.
Surprisingly, a whole lot of them went to Argentina as well.
Yeah, right.
Look at those gentlemen, and they were gentlemen in the pictures that took us to the moon, that gave us a space program that allowed us to inject satellites into orbit, which, of course, are pretty evil in their own right in most cases because they're military. They're weapons, they're surveillance, they're spies. There are all kinds of things up there. All kinds of things.
I have a question here. Has anybody tried to track down any of the other people that were there? I don't mean the high-level people like Clark. I mean the grunts who were driving the trucks or walking a perimeter with a weapon.
Well, there's a fellow named Stan Gordon who has spent most of his adult life investigating this incident. He's got a book out on it. I used to have him on the program. The local townspeople were there before anybody was there. And I did talk to a boy at the time who was, I think, 10 or 12. He's an adult now. Years ago, on this program, he was the first person there. A little kid.
Yeah, Stan Gordon's my friend.
Oh, good. Yeah, Stan did a marvelous job. When you look at these pictures on the Kecksburg page, there's a very fascinating one down further, black and white, of a fighter plane apparently chasing a disc with a round dome top. And this is, the headline says, or the caption says, May 11th, 2 days after Germany's, quote, total surrender. And as a fighter plane, looks like a Mustang P-51, chasing one of those discs with the three round objects underneath. It says gigantic German Foo craft, haunted
they call them
by
Foo Fighters.
Yeah, right. Haunted by P-51. I had the P-51 right. So this photograph taken by another plane in pursuit, extraordinary. One wonders if they shot at it. One would hope not. And then there's another one that's an illustration, an artist's concept of what this object looked like. It was very bright in the forest. And at the bottom, we have a hand drawing of a fence with barbed wire on it, looks like, lights, and there is a bell-shaped object behind it. I'll read the caption. A witness named Myron claimed to have seen and drew this image of a bell-shaped object with hieroglyphics along its bottom rim, stored at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Myron worked as a truck driver for a cement factory belonging to his family in Dayton, Ohio. 2 days after the incident occurs at Kecksburg, his firm received a large order for specially glazed bricks from the Wright-Patterson airfield. A representative of the base had a look at the bricks in stock at the factory and finally ordered 6,500 double-glazed processed bricks, which he said were for building a double-walled shield around a recovered radioactive object. Myron later glanced inside the hangar to view what was inside, and he saw what he drew. The object was silhouetted by floodlights behind large, silk-like parachute screens. Myron described the, quote, shadowy outlines of a large bell-shaped object, perhaps 9 feet wide and 12 feet high. Through a small opening in the tent, he could see that it was metallic, like some kind of whitish bronze. So there you go, Clark.
It's also interesting that Myron said it was 9 feet by 12 feet, which is exactly the way Clark described it when he saw it in Kecksburg, 9 by 12.
That's right, 9 by 12. That's what it was. It had a scribble on it, and I remember I tried to scratch. I tried to write down what the scribble looked like.
Uh-huh.
But
could it have been some kind of Russian?
No, I don't think it was. But then it could be. I have no idea. I couldn't say. I'm not very good on languages and different writing.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, see, that's a very special case that this Myron, his company,
that's right,
involved, and you can see how he's tried to draw, if you look at the picture carefully, a parachute-like covering behind it, hanging down from above, and then you can see the spotlights illuminating it. This was a big deal, whatever it was.
Yes, it was. It's a very big deal, the Kecksburg recovery.
And it was a Soviet-designed, apparently, or a Soviet-built, with help from somebody, including the Germans.
The Germans and the Soviets built it in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was launched, and the launch vehicle that it was launched by had a malfunction, and they released the Glock from it so it would not be harmed or go down with the other parts. And then it kept running. It kept in orbit until it got over the Canada, then down to Pennsylvania, and then into Kecksburg. That's what happened.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I have so much I could tell people, but the evil in this country will not allow it.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to do some of that, Clark. If you take it with you, and then you don't have much to lose. They've taken about everything you have. Go to Clark's website, click on his name, get yourself a piece of the gold foil from the Apollo 15 mission in a beautiful picture arrangement with James Irwin saluting. And it's the yellow foil that was around the legs, the lander legs of the LEM.
And on the back of it, I describe exactly where it went and by whom. And there's a photo of me sitting in the space shuttle Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
The Columbia was destroyed by sabotage.